Hello, Anu.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I
Hi,
can.
Claire. Is background noisy? Anything like that?
No, it's perfect.
Hi, everyone.
Let me go ahead and add Mrs. Banner.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Hi.
Oh, she's in.
Hey, she's
Hi,
here.
how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing
Happy
okay.
International Women's
Same
Day.
to you. Same to you. What a coincidence that we happen to
I
be on the same day
know. When we were
today.
planning it, I'm not sure we actually thought about that. It didn't cross our minds. But
Absolutely.
yes, I'm so glad that you're here.
Absolutely.
I just wanted Shola to kind of pin the comment. So Shola, if
Oh,
you can drop the notes in the comment and then just pin it at the top so that anyone who joins kind of knows what we're talking about.
yeah.
I'll do that now.
All right. Thank you so much. So how have you been? It's good to have
Good,
you
good.
here.
Good. I'm getting in there. How about you?
I'm great too. I'm great too. We are in the heat, but I think it's still better than the cold, I guess.
You know what? In the last few days, it's not been terrible, so
Oh,
we can't even
okay.
complain at all. Uh,
Nice, nice.
it's been kind of mild. I mean, mild for a Chicagoan is probably too cold for people in Texas or Florida, but for us, this is
It's not
great.
bad. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Welcome. Hi, everyone, and happy International Women's Day. I'm really glad that you're joining us today. And this conversation is part of our Out of Sync series. And in this series, we're going to be exploring something a lot of women experience, but they don't always have the language for. A lot of women deal with symptoms that seem completely disconnected, but they may be related. So things like fatigue, irregular cycles, brain fog, mood shifts, acne, gut health, inflammation, you name it all. There's so many. But
Yeah.
we're getting to a point where we're understanding that the body isn't a collection of random symptoms, right? It's
Hmm.
actually a system. And
Yeah.
when the system falls out of sync, the effects can show up across hormones, metabolism, your nervous system, and even, little daily lifestyle rhythms like sleeping, things like that. So today we're starting with the foundation of the entire conversation in the Out of Sync series. And we really want to know, what does dysregulation actually mean, and why do so many symptoms appear together? So before we jump into that, I just want to welcome, my big sis, our speaker, to this conversation, Mrs. Yewande Banira. She's a clinician specializing in women's hormonal health and integrative wellness. She's the founder of Serenara Infusion and Wellness Lounge in the United States and Serenara Wellness in Nigeria, where she develops programs supporting women navigating conditions such as PCOS, fibroids, perimenopause, menopause, and metabolic health. She's also the author of Living with Fibroids and How to Thrive with PCOS. So please grab your copies, and her work focuses on expanding access to informed, culturally competent care for women. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I'm
Absolutely.
really looking forward to this conversation.
Yes. Thank you so
Um,
much for having me. I appreciate it.
oh, one second. Hold on, sorry. I'm not sure how to make that. One second, I'll help you. Okay, so I'm just going to jump right into it. So when we say the body is dysregulated, what does that actually mean?
So, in simple terms, when we talk about from a clinical perspective, dysregulation means the body is out of sync. It means the body has lost the ability to maintain its balance. One primary goal that we always have in clinical practice is to make sure that the body is in its natural state of homeostasis. Okay. And once there's dysregulation, then it throws the body off. And the body is made to self-regulate coordinated systems, like you said, hormones, metabolism, nervous system, immune pathways, all communicating constantly. So when someone is regulated, all of these systems are they're working well. You can manage your stress better. You can sleep better. You're not gaining weight. You feel well, right? And so when dysregulation happens, that means that the adaptability, because when the systems are well coordinated, the adaptation is high, it's regulated. When we have dysregulation, that means the adaptability is reduced. And this will present in you being tired but not being able to sleep well, or sleeping and waking up still exhausted, you're not refreshed at all, you're gaining weight, your blood sugar becomes unstable, your period becomes irregular, you have intense PMS. So when we talk about dysregulation, it's not a single disease by itself. It's a body just being out of sync, and that's why symptoms appear from all organs, because they're all connected.
Thank you for that. There was a term that you mentioned while you were walking us through this, homeostasis. Was that what it was? Can you
Homeostasis.
explain this in like simpler terms so that we know what this is?
So I'm going to use, let's say, I'm going to use like a traffic light as an example. When we have a traffic light at a busy intersection, if the red, green, and yellow works the way they should, then the traffic moves. It's sane, right? All the cars move at the right direction. The ones that are meant to stop will stop. The ones the green will go, they stop. So when we have dysregulation, when we have a break in homeostasis, when the body is out of homeostasis, it means that we have the traffic light, but it's not working. So cars are still moving, but what happens? There's chaos, right? There's confusion, because one does not know when to go, one does not know when to stop. So that's what we mean when we say the body is out of homeostasis. It means that all of these signals are not coordinated. So they're just firing at different times, and then the system start to shut down or overwork until they wear out.
Okay. All right. Thank you for answering the first question, which was explaining what dysregulation means in our bodies and what it actually means. And so which moves us to our next question, which is now that we understand that when the body moves out of the state where it's in, I would say kind of like a Zen state, when it moves out of that, that's when we experience dysregulation. So
Right.
many women in this dysregulative state, they experience multiple symptoms at the same time: fatigue, irregular cycle. Why do these symptoms often appear together instead of separately? So you would have people maybe have like a bunch at once and this, and why is that?
Okay, well, that's a great question. And this is one thing that I want people to walk away from today. I want women to understand that, symptoms are not, they don't appear in isolation. They're never random. A lot of these systems are intertwined. They work together, they're connected, which is why you would have multiple symptoms appearing at the same time because of that connection. And one example that I'm going to use is that the reproductive system is not different from metabolism. It's not different from your immune system. It's not different from your gut. It's not different from your brain chemistry. They are all connected. So if one part is dysregulated or out of sync, it will affect the other part, because they all work together in a feedback way. So can you hear me? I think I keep losing you. You can. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear
And
you.
what Okay, and one example I'm going to use is, I know that when I tell a lot of my patients to manage their stress better, they think, oh, it's just cliche. It's not. Because if you look at chronic stress, when you have chronic stress, your brain will send a signal to suppress ovulation. Okay, because when the body is exposed to stress, your body puts itself in a fight or flight mode, because at this point it's going to prioritize survival. It's not interested in you trying to get pregnant or you menstruating. No, it's not going to do that, because it needs to conserve all of the energy and use it where it needs it. That's why when people are so stressed, they would say, oh, I missed my period, I wasn't pregnant. It's stress, because they're all connected. Okay, so people start to experience things like fatigue, irregular cycles, your mood will change, you start to have inflammation, because they are all connected. They don't work in isolation. Your brain will send signals to your ovaries to make estrogen or release progesterone that will help you get pregnant. Your brain sends signals to release insulin when you eat. Your brain sends your body signals to get ready to survive. So all of these systems don't work in isolation. And that's why when we're treating women, especially with hormonal issues, we cannot just focus on one symptom. If not, if we do that, we will not get you well. Okay, and this also affects your sugar. If you have unstable sugar, your body will not, it can affect your sleep, because what happens again, When you have this dysregulation, it puts your body in survival mode. So if you have unstable sugar, for instance, when patients come to me, for instance, and say, I'm having trouble sleeping, even though I have a routine, I try to get off my phone 3 hours before, but I still can't sleep. I always send them for a sleep study, because if your sugar is unstable and your sugar drops too low in the middle of the night, it will wake you up. Your body will wake you up because it needs to survive. Okay. It doesn't want you to sleep into unconsciousness. So these things are so connected that when we're looking at women, we have to look at the whole picture. We cannot separate metabolism from sleep, from reproductive system. So that's why people feel all these symptoms together, because all of these organs, all of these systems are intertwined.
Okay, thank you so much for letting us know that our systems are intertwined. And you've actually even answered my next question, which was about stress and metabolism. But now we know that it literally ties into one another. So if your stress levels are high, it could definitely affect your period. It could affect your sleep. It could affect your metabolism. It could also like you explained, use that energy to preserve other things, and so your period may go into hiding, quote unquote. So thank you for explaining that. So does it make sense that in terms of like for treatment for these kind of things, that you don't treat symptoms per symptom, you are treating holistically? Would you
Absolutely.
say that?
Absolutely. That is the only way to manage women's health effectively, because it's not fragmented. They're not separate from each other. They're always, always connected. So the best approach is always to treat it as a whole body system. The hormones, the metabolism, the sleep, the stress. The most important thing that women can do for themselves is to take note of the changes that are going on with them, because the changes are subtle, and your body will tell you something is changing. Pay attention to those changes and find someone that would look at you as a whole person, not fragments, not looking at your sleep and not looking at your metabolism, or considering your sugar. Sometimes something as low as vitamin D can affect how we feel, right? Because it helps in your body make hormone. It helps with your immune system. So all of these are connected, and we have to really pay attention to them and manage them effectively.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So, what would the early signs be to let us know that our bodies are moving towards dysregulation? Like, so what would be a telltale sign that, oh, my body is going out of sync?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. And I like that you said that. And I always say the body whispers before it screams, right? Some of the subtle signs are cravings. You start to crave for salty or sugary food. Your cravings increases. You sleep and you wake up not well rested, right? Your ability to manage your day-to-day stressors reduces. So you're anxious all the time. You feel overwhelmed. Little things that you're able to manage at work, and you're able to deliver, you just find yourself struggling some more. Your PMS symptoms might intensify, right? You start to have either heavier period or lighter period. You start to have mood swings. These are subtle signs that something is changing, especially the cravings, okay? Especially that cravings. People don't pay attention. You just feel like you want pop, you want Coke, you want juice all the time. And then one other thing that I always tell people is the crashes. You start to have this energy crash in the afternoon. The afternoon, you're so tired, you need coffee or you need energy drink to boost you for the rest of the afternoon. Those are some of the telltale signs that your body is out of sync, your body is dysregulated, and we need to look at why and what's causing that.
So, for example, if I was craving like sugar, right, and I'm seeing that my body is starting to go out of sync, what would be like one of the ways that I could, should I say, fix that or start to, manage that effectively?
Yeah, great. So the first thing is I always say, go see a doctor. Okay. Well, no, let me reverse it. The first thing is to keep track. Keep track of what time of the month you're having these cravings. Because sometimes they're hormonal and they're not necessarily your body out of sync. Sometimes it's because maybe your period is coming and there's that imbalance ratio that will cause you. But it shouldn't be sustained. It shouldn't be, because it should be one off. It should be, just if you, one time you just have this craving, you give in to that craving and it doesn't happen again. But if you're constantly craving for sugar, constantly craving for salty food, then it's time to keep track and see a doctor. The best way, one thing that I find, especially treating Nigerians, is that we wait too long before we seek out help. We think that it has to be something elaborate. But the first step sometimes is actually talking to someone who's a specialist who can guide you and say, okay, this is something we need to be concerned about, or maybe we just need to modify your diet. Right? Most people sit on this for too long, and by the time they decide, okay, you know what, I think I need to see a doctor or see somebody, it's almost too late. Like now we're chasing, and now too many things are going on at the same time, right? Then it takes longer to feel well. When you start to notice those changes, keep track, find a doctor, because sometimes it might take you a while to find someone who will listen to you. So that's why you can't even wait for too long, because you don't know how long it's going to take before someone listens and truly tries to help you. So find a doctor. If we need to make a dress, we're going to find a seamstress or a tailor, right? If you need someone to help you clean, you're going to find someone who does those kind of chores. Let's find a doctor who's going to listen to us, and that would help.
Yes, I love that you say let's find a doctor who's going to listen to us, because I usually say, like, on our journeys with our bodies as women, you're going to have to be your biggest advocate for your health. And I think it's just one of the important things right now as women, to be our biggest advocates when it comes to our health. All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I wanted to kind of throw this to the audience. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions. What symptom has been the most confusing or frustrating for you so far? Okay, so we have some people here. Do you have any symptoms that have been the most confusing or frustrating for you so far?
Is that a question?
No, I'm saying to the
Oh,
audience. I'm
to the
throwing it out
audience.
to
Oh,
the
okay.
audience if they have any questions. But I know I did do a story time. I didn't get any questions. I'm not sure. Did you get any questions on your end?
One question that I got was the weight
Okay.
gain.
Okay.
Someone mentioned that they were gaining weight and their diet hasn't changed, and it's also hormonal imbalance. Okay, when we start to get to that midlife, and midlife, I always say from 35 and older. Once we start to get into midlife, there's the imbalance between estrogen and progesterone, and I think I lost her for whoever's listening. So when we get into midlife, there's always that imbalance between progesterone and estrogen, and progesterone especially helps with it helps your body it changes how your body uses insulin, right? Once you start to have a decline in progesterone, and that automatically causes you to start to gain weight around the belly area. So it can be hormonal, and it can also be your diet. It can also be your thyroid. If your thyroid is sluggish, you will start to gain weight. So there are different factors that can cause you to start gaining weight in that midlife era, despite not changing your diet. Most of it is usually hormones, stress, and maybe diet. So what we would do to that, number one, is not change how we work out. So instead of cardio, we do a lot of strength training, because when you build muscle, then that would help burn the fat. It's about increasing your protein, increase your protein intake to about 120 grams a day. That's what most women need. And a lot of us hardly, even I can, some days I can't make it to 120. I wish it was carbohydrates, we carbs, we can we
I
can
can
do
do
well with carbs,
500
right?
grams easily.
But that protein is just, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
So and then the main thing also is to manage your stress better. I can't emphasize how important it is for us to manage our stress better. And one thing a lot of people don't think about is that when we talk about managing stress better, people think, oh, it's only physical. It's not only physical. Your stress can be from poor sleep. Stress can be from poor nutrition. Stress can be from being in a toxic relationship. Stress can be emotional. It's a lot. So if you expose your body to that, your body wants to protect you. That's your body's main job. Okay, your brain, the job is to keep you alive. So when you expose your body to the stressors like that, it stays in the fight or flight mode, always wanting to attack, always wanting to survive. And that's going to shunt all of these resources from other organs. And that's why sometimes when we have patients in the hospital, unconscious patients, for instance, sometimes they would lose their limbs, right? Because while we're trying to keep them alive, your brain is going to filter all of those resources to your heart, to your kidney, to your liver, to those organs that your body needs to survive. So you can lose your fingers because it's going to pull blood from that area. It's going to pull blood from your legs. It's going to pull it towards the middle part, to all these organs that are important. So when we talk about stress, someone just said, what are the things we need to do apart from stress? Stress is the number one thing. Sleep is also great. Sleeping well, because what happens is that sleep helps to regulate cortisol. Okay, cortisol is a hormone that your adrenal releases. Cortisol helps us to manage our day-to-day stress. Having cortisol is necessary for us to do things we need to do every day. However, we don't want your cortisol level to stay elevated all the time. And exposing your body to stress will cause your cortisol to stay elevated all the time. Sleep is a very important thing. So apart from stress, sleep is very important. Our diet is very important, because what happens is that when we eat a good, well-balanced diet, it regulates our blood sugar. And blood sugar has it helps when your blood sugar is dysregulated or unstable. It causes a lot of inflammation, and inflammation in the body is like an alarm. It tells your body that it's in stress. It tells your body that it needs help. So your body is stuck in that immune overdrive in trying to keep you alive, or keep you well. So managing your diet, eating a healthy diet, minimizing sugar is very important. Sleep, managing your stress, and then try to water is very important as well. Your body feeds off water. It needs to be hydrated. So water is another low risk factor that I always tell people to consider as well.
All right, thank you so much for that. Thank you, Blue Flower Bee, for your question. I hope that has answered your questions. Do you have any more questions to add? All right. Okay, so right. Okay, so just to kind of recap what you've said, so some of the things that we need to avoid apart from stress could be, or to do rather, would be to add good nutrition, drink loads of water, avoid things that would kind of inflame us, so maybe like sugars. And those would, so when we're inflamed, that directly puts, kind of signals to our brain that it needs to protect us, and then we go into, that mode where it then becomes stress to us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. So I'm wondering if anyone has any more questions, and then okay. All right. So if nobody else has any more questions, I wanted to find out if there were just 3 things that people could take away from this live. What would the 3 things be in terms of when it comes to dysregulation in your body? What would be the major things? I mean, if it's 5, it could be 5 as well. But what would be the major points, and say, out of this session, now I know how to identify, I know how to identify, I know what to do, and now I feel like this is something that I'm aware about. But before we go there, Blue Flower Bee says, I don't know if this should be a question. You can feel free to type it and we can ask it once Mrs. B tells us like the 3 to 5 major things that we should walk away from this session with.
Number 1 is that there's no need to suffer. We have resources that can help. Because aging is natural, it does not mean we have to suffer through it. When you start to lose your vision as a result of aging, you get glasses, right? You don't just go blind. So, there's no reason for women to try to suffer. There's no award for that. Number 2 is pay attention to the changes happening in your body. Their signals, their data, they tell us that, they tell us what's going on. They give us an idea, and we can do some more work up to see what they're exactly trying to tell us. But pay attention to you not being able to sleep. Everyone should be able to have a decent 6 to 8 hours sleep. If you're struggling with sleep, we should look into that, because it could be, are you having difficulty? Do you have sleep apnea, which is when you stop breathing in the middle of the night? We need to look at that. is the blood sugar unstable, where your blood sugar drops too low? We need to, these are things that really affect our outcome or overall. The other thing is that always you be your best advocate. Don't let anybody tell you that you're making things up. A lot of these symptoms become much more complicated because, you know, a lot of women are dismissed. A lot of women are not believed. So, you know, don't let anybody tell you no for an answer. You know your body best, and it's different for everybody. For Black women, we experience some of the symptoms a little differently, and we just need to acknowledge that, because we are more prone to stress, and we also, you know, we also have epigenetics that also affect how we respond. So a lot of these symptoms are real, they are valid. And one last thing that I always want people to walk away from is, if you're experiencing painful period, if you're experiencing intense PMS, they are not normal. Your period should not stop your life. Your period should not be so painful where you cannot go to work or go to school. When you have symptoms like that, please, please have it checked out.
Thank you very much. I was just taking notes here. I'm like a note taker, so
Yeah.
I want to know that I'm learning as well as we go along. So basically, the last point is, if you're experiencing painful periods or like painful PMS, they are not normal.
And this is with intercourse too. If you're experiencing painful intercourse,
Oh,
painful
okay.
period, PMS, none of it is normal. No, your intercourse should never be painful. It should never be uncomfortable. So it means there's just something going on, and we have different diagnoses that you know, we have different diagnoses whose symptoms are painful period, painful intercourse, and things like that. So none of those things are normal. So we need to be able to speak up and find someone that will listen to us.
Okay, fantastic. So, just reiterating the points, there's no need to suffer. As humans, as women, there's no need to suffer whatever you're going through. The second one is to pay attention to the signals happening to your body or in your body. They are signals, they are data. Number three is be your best advocate, and which ties into number four. If you're experiencing painful periods or painful PMS or painful intercourse, they are not normal. Get it checked out. Get someone that's going to listen to you, which ties into be your best advocate. Find that person that is going to listen to you. All right. Okay. So I'm not sure that Blue Flower Bee put her last question in. So we are coming to the close of this session today. I want to say thank you very much, Mrs. B, for being here. Thank you for showing up. This conversation really sets the foundation for the Out of Sync series that we have throughout the month of March. We'll continue exploring how the nervous system, the hormones, the metabolism, and lifestyle patterns interact in women's health. And on March 25th, we're going to go deeper into our masterclass titled From Dysregulation to Stability. It's a structured framework for women with PCOS and endometriosis. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you again, Mrs. V, for sharing these insights. We're going to put them together and put the notes on our page, and we're going to tag you as well. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. And thank you for sharing your wonderful insights with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Have a great evening.
You
And
too.
happy
Bye.
International Women's Day again.
Same to you.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye,
All right.
everyone. You
Bye.
too. Bye-bye.